Because if you're an entrepreneur, let me tell you this. If you are an entrepreneur, you already know this. You cannot have a fixed mindset. You cannot have a fixed mindset. An entrepreneur or not, if you want to grow, get better, change something, you cannot have a fixed mindset. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of the Success Spectrum podcast, where we dive deep into topics such as finance, entrepreneurship, and personal development. My name's Kadeem McLean, and I'll be the one to guide you as your host through these different topics. The goal, I'm going to be sharing insights and stories with you to be able to help you reach the next version that you're looking for, right? The next best version of you. So who am I, and why am I considered an authority to be able to speak to you on these things, right? First of all, again, my name's Kadeem McLean, and I come from, I'm not going to say humble beginnings or anything along those lines. This isn't a plea for help or anything like that, but a bit about me, right? You choose to put whatever labels on it you want, but I grew up in a single parent household, right? 6 of us, my mother, and for as long as I can remember, my mother was working 3 jobs, 2 jobs at the very least, taking care of us as we grew up. And seeing her go to work, so on and so forth. I'm not going to dive deep into my story today, but it, at one point in my life, right, that had an impact on me, because at one point in my life, I realized that, of course, one of my goals is to give back to my mother. And I would never be able to do that on a job, is what I realized. Nothing against jobs or employment. We'll talk more about that as the episodes commence further down the line. But I realized my goals, a job would not get me there. So years down the line, I came across something called residual income. Residual, or passive now, is what a lot of people are saying. Passive income, residual income. That means you do the job once and you get paid on it over and over again. And this was a foreign concept to me at the time. And so from there, of course, that was around 2010 maybe, where I came across Eric Thomas, right, the hip hop preacher, and his whole brand and what he does, which is amazing work. And it led me to essentially starting a financial company, right? Starting in a financial company. And it's been almost 10 years now since I've been doing that. But that's a little bit about me and kind of where I come from. And in terms of me being an authority, I'm not an authority. I'm just another guy starting a podcast to share what I've been told are unique insights and perspectives to help you on your journey, right? To become the next best version of you. And that's what I'm here for. Whatever I have, it's not a lot. I don't know everything. Pastor Mike Todd, if anybody listens to him or knows him, what he says is not a perfect man, but a progressing man. And that's what I am. And so I'm just going to share whatever little bit I might have or know or seen or experienced. And, you can take from that what you want to take from it. Hopefully, because here's the thing. If I do my job, at least one of you will take this information and apply it. And if it helps you when you apply it, then I know I did my job, right? I know I did what I was called to do. So again, frankly, that's it. I'm here to share some insights, some stories, some different perspectives, and hopefully you can glean something from it. All right. Now, today, quickly, what we're going to dive into is something you've probably heard before: growth mindset versus fixed mindset. As I flip my notes here, this was something created by Dr. Carol Dweck. And what happened was she was, I guess, did research, right? A study on some students. And she noticed that some students, after a setback or a failure, they would bounce back, no problem. Other students, they would hit that failure or that roadblock and they'd be devastated. Maybe they don't recover before the next test. And I don't know if anybody watches baseball or anything. I'm not big into watching sports. I like to play sports. But baseball, the rate in which you hit a baseball, right, when you're standing at bat, it's low. And sometimes what you'll see, even golfing, right, Tiger Woods, it happened to him as well. But let's just put it this way. The best, they're not worried about what they miss, right? They keep going. because they know that they're going to hit eventually, right? In when you're up at bat, if you swing and you miss, if that is what devastates you, then you're not really going to be able to hit a home run. You're not really going to be an asset to the team, right? And again, we're talking about growth mindset and fixed mindset. A fixed mindset means that you believe your abilities are set in stone. You believe you cannot get better. There is no growth. We all know people who hem and haw regularly, on a regular basis, unfortunately, right? Woe is me. Terrible things always happen to me. And so I don't even like saying these things, to be honest with you. But on the flip side of it, you have people who have a growth mindset. People who do believe that they can grow and they can learn. They can get better. They can get better, right? And so when it comes to the difference in mindsets, which one are you, is what I ask you. Do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset? Because your mindset, arguably, and one of my beliefs is your mindset determines just about everything in life. You can have the worst mindset, but be in the best position in life, success-wise or whatever the case is, and that can tear you down. You can have the greatest mindset and be in, quote unquote, the worst situation, but your perspective on how you view that situation is completely different than others see it from the outside in. So you won't be in that situation for much longer, essentially. I always found this to be a powerful concept because, again, you're either stuck or you see that you're not stuck and there's a way out. And personally, again, I don't know, the whole woe is me thing, I'm stuck here. I don't even like saying the word. I'm unable to do anything about the situation that I'm in. I despise that. And I don't believe that. And for anybody who does, I don't know if you're a believer or not, but I'm praying for you because that is a terrible place to be in, right? They say control the controllables. So if you control the controllables, which is essentially what you can control and have control over, right? You can control what time you get up in the morning. You can control what you eat. You can control how many times a week you work out, how many times a week you study or read, right? How many times a day you study or read or whatever the case is. You control a lot. However, natural forces, right? There are things that we do not control. Understandable. But in controlling what you can control, we can aim to get to the next level because it'll help us to not to take control of, but to be prepared for when those natural forces do come in and, a curveball is thrown our way, right? So again, I challenge you to think, do you have a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? And one of the ways to determine that, again, is to look at how you live your life. When you hit a setback, what happens to you? What happens to you? Right? I know I skipped something, so I'm going to pause there for a second because I want to go back in terms of why I started this podcast. And the reason I started this podcast is because those unique perspectives that I've been told that I have and insights, I want to share them with you because I don't know who's going to gain something from it. I don't know if any of you will. Rather, I believe at least one of you will. I don't know how many of you, but somebody will. And that's why I'm doing this. Everybody has a different story. I don't think I'm better than anybody. I don't think I'm worse than anybody. I believe that we're all here for a purpose. I believe that every interaction happens for a reason. And at the end of the day, this is an interaction, right? You're coming across this video, this podcast, and you're taking in whatever might sit well with you. Discard everything else, right? Discard it. You don't need it. Take the one or two things that might actually work for you and help you, or somebody you know, and share this with them, because that is all you are here for, listening to this. Not everything I say you're going to resonate with or is going to resonate with you. Some things you might despise some things I say. You might just watch this one episode and say, I'm never coming back to watch this guy again. He's ugly. He's whatever the case is, right? That's up to you. And I feel no offense. Go find something that is for you and does work for you, right? Read a different book, listen to a different podcast, different music, whatever the case is you got to do for you to help you on your journey or pursuit of the next best version of you. So again, the reason why I started this podcast, to be able to share these insights with you, share these stories, and hopefully help you in some way to break through those mental barriers that are stopping you from getting to the next best version of you. All right. So to go back to it now, because I know I said we're going to pause there, my journey to start this podcast. For years, I was saying I wanted to start a podcast. I think maybe 2020 or 2021, at least I would say 2020. I started to think to myself, I should probably start a podcast or whatever the case is, right? And I've been on a couple of podcasts here and there, but starting my own was something I wanted to do. And here we are about 4 years later, and I'm only starting a podcast now. Why is that? A lot of factors. Even today, I didn't get to cut my hair. I didn't get to do whatever I wanted to do before recording this. That's all right. Why? Because I think I first heard E.T. say this, right? The hip hop preacher. Done is perfect when perfect ain't done. So we sit here, and I'm a perfectionist, right? If you want to put labels on things, I'm a perfectionist. I like to make sure things are in order before taking a step and doing something. But the more I hear people talk about, oh, I just need to make sure all my ducks are in a row and so on and so forth, it bothers me. It bothers me because they will never all be in a row. You're trying to walk down the street to get to your next milestone, your next goal, but you're afraid of walking because you're trying to look down with binoculars or a telescope or whatever the case is to see what's out there before you actually take the steps towards your goal. Newsflash for you. You're going to go forward down this path. You don't even know it, but you actually have to make a left or a right. You got to veer to the left or veer to the right, right? You don't know it because you're still standing at the start trying to look straight ahead. You can't see what's to the left or right. There's buildings, there's trees, there's bushes blocking it. You can't see it. And until you start to move and get to that intersection, you will not see to the left or right. We have to move. There's no way to do something other than doing the thing, right? The only way to read a book is to read a book. The only way to get to the gym and get a workout in is to get to the gym and get a workout in. A lot of these mental barriers that we allow to sit in our minds and stop us from doing what we want to do or intend to do or feel called to do. If we continue to let those barriers block us, we're never going to get to where we're going. We're never going to do what it is that we want to do, right? We're not going to reach the next best version of ourselves. So I said to myself, you know what? I think it's time. I think it is time to sit down and to start this podcast because there are people, when I put up videos online or whatever the case is, they're like, where's the rest of the video, right? Because for a while now, I've just been doing short little reels, right? Which is what, a minute and a half at most. And sometimes people will reach out to me and say, hey, where's the rest of the video? I'd love to watch the rest of it. And I'm like, well, this is it. This is the video. But I'll tell you this. I don't want to put anybody's information out there. So me and one of my buddies, I'll call him, one of my brothers really, we were recording podcasts for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. But we didn't release one episode. Why? Because we were focused on perfection. We're focused on perfection. There was a lot of content in there that could have helped somebody, but we were selfish and kept it to ourselves because it wasn't perfect. We didn't put it out there, right? And so, unfortunately, that information has not seen the light of day. Some of it, we may have taken clips from it, but if we put that out there, who knows what could have happened? Who knows who it could have helped? Who knows if it could have helped you? Maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have, but we don't know because we didn't put it out there. We don't know what we don't know. And we'll never know until we start moving. So I'd rather take the steps necessary or that I think are necessary to get to where I'm going. And then if I believe in God, I don't know what you believe in or what you believe in, if anything, but I would rather take the steps. And then if God wants to redirect me on that path, he can redirect me. But I don't believe there will be any intervention unless I start to move. Because the current command, the current guidance is move. And if I don't move, there's no other command to come, right? I will not know the full picture. But as I move forward, then I can see, oh, I'm supposed to veer left. Oh, what? Now I'm supposed to veer right. But until I move, I don't know that. So this is encouragement for you as well to take the steps that are necessary, because there's probably something in your mind that you've been sitting on for years. There's other things that I've been sitting on. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm not talking at you. I'm just sharing insights and perspectives. I don't have anything or everything put together, right? I'm just like you. I'm a person here on a journey, and my aim is to make the journey to become the best version that I can, right? As best as I can. And that's all I'm here to do, and share those insights with you. So there's something that, again, you've probably been sitting there thinking to yourself, I need to do this thing, but you haven't done it yet. Maybe you just put it back to the back of your mind to say, forget about even listening to that voice. I need to go back to work. But you're meant to be an entrepreneur. I'm not talking to everybody, but you know if it's you that I'm talking to. You're meant to be an entrepreneur, but you're going back to work for what? You're getting caught up in years, seem like they're just flying by, because you're caught up in the mundane day-to-day tasks of things you don't even like to do or love to do. And if that is you, like for some things it is for me still, I question, or I ask you to question yourself. Again, are you thinking on that fixed mindset, or are you thinking from the mindset of a growth perspective, growth mindset? Challenge yourself. Think for yourself, right? I'm not telling you what it is. I'm telling you to decide for you. Think about the things that you've been wanting to do, where you've been wanting to go, how you've been wanting to live. Think about how much time has passed since those thoughts have come into your mind. And then think about, wait a second, am I thinking from a growth or a fixed mindset? Because if you're an entrepreneur, let me tell you this. If you are an entrepreneur, you already know this. You cannot have a fixed mindset. You cannot have a fixed mindset. If you, an entrepreneur or not, if you want to grow, get better, change something, you cannot have a fixed mindset. You need to have a growth mindset in these situations, right? For anybody who doesn't want growth, who doesn't want better for themselves or whatever the case is, you don't need to listen to this, right? Go live your happy life. No shade, no shame. You're happy. Do what you're doing, right? I'm happy for you. But for those of you who are like me and want better, want more for yourself and the people around you, change your mindset. How do you change your mindset? They say garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in equals garbage out. What are you listening to? What are you feeding your brain? What are you feeding your mind? What are you consistently and regularly feeding your brain and your mind? Again, if you're feeding it garbage, right? Negativity, things that, are not growth oriented, that have no business in entrepreneurship or growth or who you want to be or progress, then why are you listening to that regularly? I'm not saying don't listen to those things. Got to be realistic, if you will, right? Realistic, which is a whole other conversation. But what do you regularly listen to? What's the percentage? What's the ratio? Are you 90% listening to that stuff, right? Negativity or things that are not focused on growth or progress, entrepreneurship, and then 10% growth and entrepreneurship? What does that mean? That means you're taking in 90% garbage. You can distribute 90% garbage. You're not going to distribute the thing you want to distribute, which is the growth, the entrepreneurship, the progress, because you're only taking in 10%. You got to take in enough that you can give out enough. Right? And when I say give out, I'm thinking about your speaking, how you speak, how you act, how you walk, what you attract in terms of your goals, right? How people see you, how you operate, the aura you give off, your essence, right? So again, garbage in equals garbage out. If you consistently take in garbage, you're going to give out garbage. But what if you flip the script? What if you flip the script? What if you now take in more podcasts? You read more self-help books, progress books, entrepreneurship books, whatever the case is. Progress, like that's a category or a genre. But what are you listening to, right? podcasts, music, whatever the case is. There's certain rap, there's music, period, but there's a lot of rap I don't really listen to. Or if I do, it's few and far between, because it's not talking about anything positive. It's not talking about anything growth oriented. What is it doing for me, right? It's drugs, so on and so forth. No shame to anybody who's listening to that regularly. But again, I'm conscious and cautious of what I feed myself on a regular basis. Again, not saying I don't listen to that stuff, but there's a lot of them that I don't, to be honest with you. But there's certain songs that I listen to regularly because, again, I know what I'm feeding myself. And I know if you know who you want to become, you have an idea, you're going to focus, likely, if you're being conscious enough, you're going to focus on doing the things and activities that that person would do and or that lead you to becoming that person. But again, if you're stuck on the fixed mindset, you're not even going to bother. You're going to say, who cares? I hesitate with these things. I don't like to speak negativity into myself or anybody around me. I'll never become this. So forget it. That's for rich people. That's for people who are born in a certain class. That's for people who are a certain ethnicity, a certain race, or whatever the case is. Right? So, a certain height. Forget that. Squash all that. Forget it. Get it out of your mind. And if you don't agree with all this, again, feel free to shut this off, not listen to it, whatever the case is. That's my mindset. I don't care necessarily how tall you are, how short you are, whatever the case is, or I am, let me speak personally, because everything I say is to me, and it's just sharing the thoughts, right? I'm not talking at you. It's a conversation we're having, but it comes from me telling myself these things and then sharing it with you. So again, I don't think I'm perfect at all, and not even in one area, but I'm progressing. And to be able to live a progression life, you have to have a growth mindset. So there was a few other things I wanted to share with you. And before I say the wrong thing, I want to make sure I take a look at my notes here. In terms of that fixed mindset, some people have a growth mindset, and I've been here, and I might still be here in some areas, to be honest with you. But some people have a growth mindset. And in that growth mindset, or even with that growth mindset, there are certain activities or things that we're doing that are keeping us where we are. We've been doing whatever thing it is for X amount of years, 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, 3 years, whatever it is. And we want or think that we should be at a certain point because we've been doing it for so long. We've been in it for so long. We didn't quit, whatever the case is. If you keep doing what you've always done, and I think it was, again, E.T. that I heard this from as well, Uncle E. If you keep doing the same thing, keep doing what you've always done, you're going to keep getting what you've always gotten. If you keep doing what you've always done, you will keep getting what you've always gotten. You need to do something different. We, again, need to do something different to be able to get something different. We'll never get to the next level or make a change if we don't make a change, right? I know it sounds so simplistic. Of course, we're all human. We all have our vices, so on and so forth, me included, me especially, is what I'll say. But if we keep doing what we've always done, we will keep getting what we've always gotten. We keep hanging around the same people, we're going to keep doing those things that we don't want to do with those same people, right? Some of us may have some friends that we talk to on a regular basis that when we're with those friends, 90% of the time it's cool, but 10% you're like, I don't mess with that. I don't really do that. But you do it anyway, or you've been doing it anyway because you're in that group of friends, right? If you keep doing what you've always done, don't say anything to them. Don't step away when it's time for them to do that. Don't say, hey, are you guys planning to do this? Because if you are, call me next time, right? Call me for the next meetup. If you don't do that, you continue to not do that, then you're going to keep doing those things with that group of friends. If I keep sitting back and saying, you know what, it's not time for me to start the podcast because I didn't get my hair cut, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, whatever the case is, I don't have everything laid out so perfectly, I don't have 5 episodes, lined up in terms of the outline, I will never start a podcast. Never. And not that it's an amazing thing for me to start it, but every little step adds up. Lao Tzu, I think it was. I could be terribly wrong, so forgive me if I am. But the journey, or that was a Chinese proverb, if I'm not mistaken. The journey of a 1,000 miles begins with a single step, one step at a time. All we can do is one step at a time. Try to take 2 at a time. Try to take 2 steps at a time. Bet you can't. I don't even like saying that word, right? But again, factually, you won't be able to. Take 2 steps at a time. We can only take 1 at a time. So this is me taking that next step, with the hopes, of course, that it helps you on your next step or your journey to become the next best version of you. So let's break through those mental barriers together. Let's do what we need to do to get to where we're going and help each other along the way. And again, if you found this episode helpful, share it with somebody. Right? If you continue to find any episode helpful, take the clip if you want, because maybe I talk too much for you, but take the clip and share it with somebody because it might be impactful for them. If you think there is somebody who might be able to benefit from it, not just for views or anything along those lines, sure, maybe, I'll say maybe that's a part of it, possibly, I don't know. But the main thing is you get what you're looking for, it helps you. You know somebody who might be looking for this information, it helps them. Right? Sometimes all we need is a little bit of a push. And that's what I'm here to do, is share some insights, push myself, push you, and help you again get to that next level and break through those mental barriers. All right. Lastly, I want to say, do not become a permanent potential. When you think about it, we are all amazing human beings. We are all amazing. We all have certain things that we do that nobody can do it like we do it, right? Nobody has the perspectives that you have. It's unique. Nobody has the mindset that you have. It's different. It's unique. It's otherworldly, whatever the case is, however you want to phrase it. Nobody can do the way you do that thing you do. But if we don't utilize that to become the next best version of ourselves, or lean into that the way we want to lean into it, but we sit back saying, oh yeah, I know I could. You keep talking about your potential. Stop with the could. Stop with the potential. Do not become a permanent potential. Do the thing. Show the world, more importantly, show yourself that you can do it. And again, give God the glory, right? If you believe in God. If not, don't worry about that part, right? Whatever you believe in, if again, universe, whatever it might be, give that the glory. But you cannot give the glory if you don't do the thing, take the step. If people continue to live in potential, that's it. What kind of life is that? There will be potentials, let's say, in certain things, but at the end of the day, my aim is growth, progress. Tony Robbins says progress is happiness, right? And I think Ed Mylett also says that, if I'm not mistaken. But progress is happiness. And at the end of the day, I'm just out here trying to make the progress that I need to make to get to where I'm going, to help those who I'm called to help. To be honest with you, I don't even know necessarily how to end the podcast, but let's break through those mental barriers together. I hope you'll come back next week, listen in. And again, if it's helpful for you, share it with somebody. Click that like button, subscribe. And, I'm looking forward to taking this journey with you. And I thank you for being with me on this journey. And again, this is not me talking at you. This is just me sharing insights, perspectives, and stories. And yes, some personal opinions as well, in order to, first of all, retrain my mind, but secondly, to help you along your journey to become the next best version of you. All right. Again, my name is Kadeem McLean, and that's it for me for his first episode. Stay healthy, stay happy, and stay blessed.